Hi friends, welcome to another edition of Scrapbooking in Belize. I'm Dawn, and today we'll be looking at the A+ Homework watercolor paint. I went into my local stationery store to buy something else, and I saw these on their shelf, and it looked curious to me, and it was very affordable. It wasn't expensive. Both packs cost less than $5 Belize, which is very, very good. And I decided to get it. Now, let's check these out. Okay, so these come in 2 packs, as you can see, and they came in packs of green, red, blue, yellow, black, white, orange, and purple. Unfortunately, there's no pigment information on these tubes, so I'm not sure what pigment these are made from, even though on the back it says it's high quality watercolor for school children and hobby artists, made from the finest quality pigments and raw material through excellent processing, suitable for children of all ages. They're non-toxic, they're safe to use according to the label. I did contact the company, or tried to contact the company, asking them for pigment information, telling them that I was going to do this review. Come on, camera, focus with me, please. Telling them that I was going to do this review, asking them if they had anything they want me to say on my YouTube channel, and I also asked them about their pigment information, but they did not get in contact with me. I did wait a week to see if they were going to get in contact with me, but they did not. So I'm going ahead with this review. What I can say is I did do the swatches straight from tubes. Camera, please focus. Thank you. I did do the swatches straight from tubes, but I did allow it to dry a little bit and to see how it works when it re-wet. I did prepare a little palette. And this is just out of a inexpensive watercolor paint that I had. I saved the palette for it. I actually saved the packaging for it. And I got some bottle caps. I put a bit of double-sided adhesive tape on it to let it stick in the palette. And see, handmade watercolor palette. And so I just poured them in here, and I left them to wait a week. For a week, I let them dry to see how they were re-wetted. And I'll tell you all about that at the end. Okay, guys. So we did the review of how these look. And yeah, this is it right here. This is the color mixing chart that I did. And I was basically looking at how the colors mix with each other, how bright they are with each other. I was looking at their gradient. I was looking at lifting, layering, and movement of these colors. And from what I can tell, these colors, they're not very bright at all. I mean, I actually had to get paint itself to put down so I could see color. It wasn't working with me. It kind of did some gradation here, the gradient, but as you can see, it went on very thick and then it just went very light. And it could layer, because I did do 2 different types of layering. In fact, many of these are just layering. The only problem is if you try to do layering, when you put on the thicker layer, it comes out very streaky. When it comes to lifting, it really doesn't lift at all. These colors are very, very staining. So I'm producing that, even though on the packaging it says it comes with the highest quality or the finest quality of pigment, I'm thinking they use a lot of dyes in these paints. And the movement, if you're seeing 4 dots or 3 dots, that's because that's exactly what it was. It's just dots. You fill the spot with water, you put a dot of color in to see if it's going to spread, and it does. It just stays right there. The only thing I would say did spread a little bit was the red. It did try to spread out, but because it's so light, you really don't get to see it that much. And so these colors were not working with me at all. So what can I say? Maybe it's a very good kids brand, but as a student grade quality, I don't think it is, and maybe that's why they're marketing towards kids. It's a great kids brand, I will say this. When it comes to kids quality, these are very good because they're non-toxic and it's tube, so you will get a lot of paint. And so now let's see if we can do an illustration with these paints. And we will also, I put some in some tubes and I let it sit for about a week, and I'll see how it re-wets, and that's what I'm going to do my illustration with. Okay guys, as you can see, I'm finished with my little banana here. It's still very wet. When it comes to the re-wettability of the paint, as you can see, it has great re-wettability, but that's also too because I kind of cheated a little bit. What I do normally when I get paints that I suspect are student grade, are not known to be high quality paint or artist grade paint, I add a bit of glycerin in it. Just a couple drops of glycerin to keep it nice and glossy and shiny, and for it to maintain that re-wettability properties. And that's what I did with these paints. I usually do that with paints that, you know, that are not known to be artist grade quality. I put a bit of glycerin in it just to keep it going. So that's what I did. So the paint does have great re-wettability, but as you can see, the paints are not bright at all. They're not very, very bright paint. So when it comes to brightness, that's a no. The paints, I would not call them very opaque either. And the reason why I will not call them very opaque is because I had to add a lot of color to try to bring out colors. The colors are very, very, very dull. They're actually very dull. So it's not very bright, it's not very opaque, it doesn't lift, even though it says it has high quality pigments in it. It's staining, it's heavily staining. It really doesn't lift at all. It doesn't have granulation, it doesn't gradiate, so there's no granulation properties, as you can see, and it doesn't gradiate. If you put the color there and you add water next to it, it's not going to flow right into the water nicely and fill up that space. It's just going to stay there for the most part. And light fastness, I don't believe these are light fast, because I'm thinking these paints are actually kids quality paint. They're not student grade paints or artist grade paint. They're actually made for kids. So I'm thinking they're not very light fast. It's not chalky. I should mention that. The paint doesn't dry chalky at all. The orange mixes like a warm yellow versus a cool. It really mixes like a warm yellow versus what it, you know, versus a cool yellow. It really does. And you need more paint. So the paint payout, as they will say, is very, very, very low. And so I don't have much to say about this. I do enjoy it. It's a great kids brand. It's wonderful if you have children who are aspiring to be artists, children who loves to paint or use well, basically, I'm eating my words here. Children who loves to paint. If you have children who loves to paint, it's great for them. And that's it. Join me next time for another edition of Scrapbooking in Belize. Bye.